Me. I am a memoir. I said a memoir. The meaning of Mariah Carey.
Hello, Lamely! Welcome to another bonus episode of Me. I Am a Memoir, the meaning of Mariah Carey, with the elusive Sham 2. That would be me, Fab, that, Posh. But we are taking a dive into the album Butterfly today because it has come up a lot in the chapters we've been reading in the meaning of Mariah Carey memoir. So in these bonus episodes, we just jump straight in and break it on down.
Break me on down.
It's very exciting because the breaking me on down moment that influenced that part of our podcast happens on this album.
I know. Are you excited?
I am excited. So
I know, because have I oversold this album? I am worried because I've been going on about it.
so what I've done,
I've been super loving it.
the way I've structured my notes is I touch on.
I just turn up.
I'm very organised. I'm a gay Virgo, all right? So I thought what I'm going to do, I've written down sort of where I was before going into this deep dive. And then at the end, touch on where I ended up, if that makes sense. And even within this deep dive, there was some changing of opinions.
Oh,
so it's been an interesting moment for me.
You're like Mariah Carey jumping off the balcony into the water in the Honey film clip.
Exactly, which we will get to, don't you worry. All right. So Butterfly was released September 16, 1997, the year Mariah was born, of course.
Yes.
It sold over 10 million albums.
It was such a big year. That was the year of the death of Diana. That was the year of the Titanic. That was it was a big year.
I feel like it's the year that, like, 96, 97 is when music for me really became a thing.
See, and this is where I stopped having time to listen to it, because this was when I started doing comedy.
Comedy ruins everything.
I know.
When I think back to, like, for me, of course, Mariah was 95, but the singles were still kind of coming out in 96. And we were always a little late in Australia as well.
Yeah, so slow.
And then just all of those, like Alanis, I think was 95, no doubt. But again, those albums went for a few years. So it was around 95 to 98 is probably like the most influential musical.
Yeah, if you're a teenager, like, everything you hear in those years is the most important music you've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even a teenager. It's fine, but I had teenage sisters, so I think that helped. But
I could seriously sing an entire album that I had when I was 14, and would struggle to even remember the words to "Call Me by Your Name."
It's like, I think it's similar to learning a language. I think when you're that young, you just absorb everything.
Yeah,
but also back then, you still, like, that was still in the days where I'd be recording off the radio, and you had to wait months for the CD. You had to go like an hour to get to the CD shop to buy it, and all of that.
I think all my Madonna collection is all vinyl.
Who?
When I was in love with Madonna when I was before. It was before.
I don't think we know her.
We probably don't. But that was my thing back then.
I have been doing a little bit of a just private Madonna listen. I've never listened to her album, similar to what we're doing here, just without the podcast. And I really, really like True Blue. That's the first one going in order that I'm like, the first ones I was like, all right, I don't mind the singles. But that was the first album that I was like, oh, this is a good album. Like, I like this.
No, there's like a Prayer's even better.
That's coming up next.
Yeah. Anyway, we're doing a Madonna podcast now.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
so
1997.
Yes, Butterfly. Mariah has called it her magnum PI opus.
Magnum PI. It's not magnum PI.
That's what I call it. I'm just now, like, I just wish it had Tom Selleck somewhere in it. Like, he can recreate the front cover or something. I was trying to make a joke about ice cream, but I was like, that's not working. Magnum PI. That'll work. And of course, the album got to number 1 in both the US and Australia.
Of course.
So you mentioned 97. So for me, where I was before this deep dive was I basically knew the main 2 singles, especially back then, I should say. Yep. I remember Honey, absolutely. And I remember Butterfly. There was an ad that was advertising the album, playing a few of their songs and all this sort of stuff.
My All was a big hit.
See, I don't remember My All from the original. No. We will get to...
maybe it wasn't big in Australia. Anyway.
It'll touch on that. But so that were kind of the 2 main songs, and I liked Honey, but I wasn't like, wow. And I was like, with Butterfly. I think it wasn't a huge hit either.
No, I don't think so.
So I hadn't had the exposure that I'd had with Daydream, where it was the only CD in the house. Yeah. So I think because of that, I never kind of explored the album. And again, I was 7, so I didn't have the income to be going and spending money on an album that I hadn't heavily researched, you know? Like I'd wait until something had like...
That hadn't been force-fed to you through 7 singles.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so often I would wait until like the 5th or 6th single to buy the full album.
But then sometimes an album, you'll be like, I love all these singles, and you'll get the album and you're like, these are the only good songs on this album.
Yeah, and that's kind of a risk, isn't it?
Nothing hangs together. Whereas I find Butterfly, like, it all works.
It's hanging, darling.
Like,
well, I'll be the judge of that.
in this beautiful gallery of sound.
I will be the judge of what hangs and what doesn't. And I think the other thing that happened over the year, so I have heard a lot of the songs by this point, but not as a full album, you know, from beginning to end. And I think a lot of that came down to people, again, force feeding it. And I was like, I don't take well to being told what to do. So often people telling me what to do is a surefire way to make sure I don't.
Yeah.
So
eat your vegetables. I'm having chocolate for dinner. I'm a grown-up now. Chocolate for dinner.
So I think that's sort of where I was before going into this deep dive. So many of these songs will actually be first listens, and others are maybe listens that have been a while.
Yeah.
All right. So let us start with a little Honey, which is written by Mariah, Sean P. Puff Diddy Daddy Combs, Kamal Q-Tip Fareed, Stevie J Jordan, Stephen Haag, Bobby Robinson, Ronald Larkins. I think there's a few sample people. Larry Price, Malcolm McLaren. We sample Hey DJ by World's Famous Supreme Team and The Body Rock by Treacherous 3. The song got to number 1 in the US and number 8 in Australia. What were we thinking?
8's pretty high for here.
It was. I do remember this being a pretty
everywhere.
Decent hit. And I'm going to dive straight into the video because it's so connected.
Yeah, it's iconic.
So this was the synopsis. It's quite a longie because all of a sudden we have not only production value but a storyline, darlings.
A $2 million worth of it.
Crazy. So just before completing her mission, codename Honey, Agent M is abducted by a ruthless counterintelligence organization known as DUNC. Is the joke that it's dunce? Is that the joke? Right.
Yes.
Their orders: detain Agent M at all costs. Now we're in San Juan. Tommy, the mob boss, rocks up. Mariah pretends not to speak English. There's threats, fists, but Mariah doesn't understand his hair. There's some fat shaming from Eddie Griffin, who breathes on Mariah, so she asks for gum as a last request. But darling, not for me, for you. Sarcastic laugh.
It was a very funny moment. Very funny line rating from Mariah.
The sort of
for me.
At the end, killed me. Now, some dude tries to proposition Agent M while Eddie takes Mariah's advice and has some chewy. Mariah escapes her handcuffs. We get a close-up of the heels. She smacks random dude and the music kicks in. Mariah runs and jumps off the balcony.
Yeah.
Into a pool where she simply must take her clothes off. Her busies...
Too restrictive.
Too restrictive. Her busies make their way out of the pool, followed quickly by the rest of her. Luckily, there is a change room right there, so she can pop on the third outfit in as many seconds.
Oh, I love it.
There is some singing, windswept Mariah interspersed. Jet ski Raya makes her debut with a water chase. Tommy is, this is a long synopsis. Tommy is back and checks his hair doesn't get wet. To which I wrote, so he and Mariah did have something in common. We get
Happily underwater. She gets very wet.
That's true. We get a port glory hole and some sailors doing Mariah's patented hip hop line dancing. Agent M is serving some sick Debbie Allen moves. Agent M gets Tommy's hair wet, winning the water rat race. Mariah then does magic and disappears into the dances as old mates try and track her down, with Eddie Griffin searching for her in one of the dancers' hair. Did you notice that?
Yes,
Mariah makes it to Hot Man Island, where a dog yaps at her feet and I die of jealousy. Mission accomplished.
Oh, Hot Man Island was, it was like, what? Why is this? Okay, it ends here.
Yes, I know. But it doesn't end there, because then we have a remix video.
Yes.
So Mariah, Mace, The Locks, and P. Puff, Sean Diddy Daddy Combs are in what can only be described as a clean sewer. They went into the sewer and they just, Mariah's coming, we better tidy up. Mariah's hair looks good. Am I attracted to Puff Daddy? We have an added chopper scene.
He's very attractive in this video.
Right? we have an added chopper scene where Mariah escapes on a rope. I'd never seen this. This was very interesting. Mariah did her own stunts.
Yes.
There is some cute lap sitting. I think I'm really into Puffy here. Oh no, Diddy just danced and ruined it. And Mariah has a splash. He did, yeah. And Mariah has a splash, darling.
Oh,
she did. Did you notice she has a little bubbles moment? And I just wanted to point out something that Mariah said about this particular video. She pinches Diddy and Mace on the cheeks and has said that freaked them out. They take that gangster stuff seriously. And here she's like, whooshy, whooshy, whooshy.
Who's my cute little gangster rap?
But yeah, look, I'd never had an attraction to Puff Daddy before, but all of a sudden I was like, he's got really nice teeth and there's things happening here.
You know what I think it is with him? I think it's the confidence. He just seems so
the BD
comfortable with himself and just
Puff Daddy energy.
Yeah, he's got big Puff Daddy energy.
All right, so take us through it. What's your honey feelings, your moments? Tell us all about it.
I love this song. Like, I think I've got 2 12-inch remixes on vinyl as well as 700 CD singles. And this is kind of like I don't even want to say a better version because I know that will upset people, but I feel like this is like fantasy to the nth degree. Like, we've got the more kind of urban sound in the main album song, and so then when you get the remix, it doesn't feel like it's much of a gear change at all. It's just like, oh no, we're transposing it down a little bit, we're kind of slowing it down a little bit with, adding in that Hey DJ sample, like, is more prominent in the remix. And then when you get to the dance mix, it's like, it feels like, they all still sound like the same song.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas, with fantasy, it's like, the lyrics are the same.
Yeah, no, I
know structurally the song is the same. And
I did say that the remix for this I prefer to the fantasy remix because it incorporates the rap and the hip hop without losing the pop.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's there working together. Yeah.
It feels like a much more cohesive, it feels like she's really built on the lessons she learned from making, I was going to say writing, but she produces as well. But so you're making fantasy, the giant thing that it was. So this feels like the pinnacle of pop rap on this album. Like, it is, a kind of perfect moment in time. And it's one of those songs where you hear it in a shop still to this day. Like you'll hear bing, 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 bing. And it's like, oh yay, Mariah's on.
It does, yeah. It certainly it doesn't feel aged at all.
No.
Yeah,
Boom. A boom, boom. And I always used to like, because the opening of this video clip reminds me somewhat of the Tupac song California.
Oh, okay.
Like there's something about like I don't know, I think it's just the text on the screen.
Sure.
And it's like I never know which one's starting.
See, I think of Austin Powers.
I see the text on the screen. It's like, are we getting Tupac or Mariah? Oh, no, it's Agent M. It's Mariah.
Did you find...
I love both of them. I get excited about both.
Yeah, well. Did you find, now listening, knowing that it's about Derek Jeter, did that, like, give it a different vibe for you?
No, I think because I've lived with it for so long... It's kind of impenetrable now. Like it's sort of baked in
Same.
to my consciousness as it's honey. It's you know what did kind of arise for me this time, that even though I know they're the lyrics, is that kind of almost addictive quality to what she's talking about.
Yeah,
like
sure.
that kind of like, I need it, which in the David Morales remix is very, very prominent, because she just starts screaming at the top of her lungs for about 10 minutes. I need it, need it, need it. I need it, need it. It's like, oh, honey. Yeah, I need honey too. Like it's she just sings I need it, need it, need it, need it a lot. But yeah, like it's kind of one hit of your love addicted me. Like it is that kind of really, that feeling like, I don't want to compare it to doing anything terrible for you, but whether it's sugar or whether it's, I remember the first time I had a shower after going for a run, and I am not someone who's run in my life really. So when I started doing that, I was like, oh, I see why people keep doing this all the time. This is amazing. Like when I did stand-up, like the first time I did stand-up, like the rest of the next 22 years, I was just chasing that high that you get from doing a gig. Like it's, it's a really, it is quite a statement on how you can instantly want to do something again. Yeah, after having done it one time.
It's like my first time in a gay bar.
Oh my God.
So the thing for me was like, I'd always seen honey as literally, I knew it was a euphemism, but as in, I didn't think it had a person behind it.
No.
So to discover it has kind of thrown me. It hasn't ruined the experience with the song, but I'm just like, oh wait, she's talking about a real person. Whereas so often for Mariah, it wasn't a real person.
Yeah.
And so I'd kind of put it in with Fantasy and Dream Lover, where it was an imagined thing.
Yeah. No, I think some of the lyrics are kind of indicative of it being an actual thing, because all those other songs were, lyrically, come and take me away, or I get kind of hectic inside. But whereas this is very much like following that theme constantly of, I need it. Like
give it to me. Give me those 12-minute.
I need 12 inches for 12 minutes, real quick.
Lordy.
But yeah, it's like it's the way she really, like, her lyrics are always amazing. Like they're always quite intricate. Yeah. But in this one, like it's really evocative of that feeling of, I need to have that again. And in the book, when she was talking about the song Cry Baby and how that was about, obviously being with someone else later on, but still thinking of Derek Jeter. And you're like, oh yeah, like she had it bad. Like,
yeah, sure.
Like really quick and wanted it really badly. And after that terrible marriage,
you can't blame her.
I know. A carrot stick probably would have pushed her over the edge.
Look at that delicious carrot stick.
Just like carrot sticks.
Oh my God. So one thing I will say about this song, when I listen to Mariah's sort of greatest hits and things like this, I would have said I always preferred Fantasy and Heartbreaker, which are in a similar kind of vibe to this. But it was really nice doing this listen and only listening to Honey that's in that lane with the video, reminding myself of the video,
good.
and sort of re-enjoying it again for what it is. The thing that
And I think because there was a lot of gossip going on at the time as well. Like, so there was a lot of news about the video because it was supposedly maligning Tommy. Their marriage was ending. Like, it was that was a big thing. There were rumors about the Derek Jeter thing. Like, there was stuff going on.
And it's the first video that Mariah's done.
Yeah,
like
that
really
wasn't just her frolicking or singing a concert.
And I think it was probably the first video I saw of hers, because I don't think in the Daydream era I had discovered video hits yet.
Oh my God.
Or the rage.
The rage.
But I just, to quickly go back to what you were saying before about Honey, there was a question somewhere in my research where someone said, so what's it really about? And she's like, honey. Like, duh. It's about, what do you mean? What's Honey about? It's about honey. All right.
It's about when your love comes over me.
Such a dependency.
It's just like honey.
Yeah.
Or soy sauce. Because one drop goes everywhere. Like, you can't. It is like honey. You know, with one drop of honey and suddenly it's on your fingers and it's all over your chest and it's like, oh my God, I've got honey everywhere. Like one little drop of honey and I've just spread it everywhere. Like, it's a mess. I need a whole box of tissues to clean up this honey now. It is about honey.
That's why it's better to just put it straight in the gob.
I've been to that beat this week. Careful, that's how you get COVID in Victoria.
I haven't. That's the issue. And we've already discussed. Never the face, darling.
Never the face.
All right. So, what score from number 1 to infinity are you giving?
Infinity.
It's like Hun break my heart. Infinity. Oh my God. All right, so for me, I went back and forth because I was like, do I like this? I knew I didn't quite like it as much as Fantasy, but do I like it more than Always Be My Baby? And I was like, I don't know. On re-listen, maybe I do, but then I probably revisit Always Be My Baby a bit more. It's a little bit more of a sing-along. So I think I'd given Always Be My Baby sort of infinity minus or something along there, and I'd given Fantasy infinity. I was like, what's in between? So I've gone with a whisper of infinity.
A whisper.
I think for me, one of the things is I do wish there was a radio edit, because sometimes I don't feel like the full 5-minute commitment.
There is. There's like a 4-minute
I tried to find one, but I couldn't come across it. But maybe I just didn't.
I was listening to like 400 mixes today. What? I wonder which one I had on.
Oh God! It's just the 29-minute version.
Seriously, I listened to like 14 because there's like 3 suites of mixes almost. Like there's, I know.
This remix episode is going to be hectic.
It's going to be
inside and out. All right, let's smash on through to Butterfly, written by Mariah. Are you doing?
Yeah, the shortest one is 4 minutes. So
I mean, that's still a little. That's a little easier.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the one where she's really getting quite excited about.
Is she? About Honey?
That song. Keep it dancing.
Really,
dancing all night long.
This is hectic.
So good.
All right. Track 2, Butterfly, the title track. Written by Mariah and Snuffleupagus. Now, it doesn't appear to have charted on the main US chart. There was a whole thing.
This one was a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it charted in other spots, but it seems
I think it was huge in Japan.
I didn't get that one. I did get that it was number 27 in Australia. What were we thinking? But it seems that a lot of the singles from this album were not quote unquote commercial singles. It went straight from Honey to My All.
Yeah.
And My All was like the 5th single in a lot of areas. So we got this as a single. So one interesting thing was, this is from Mariah. When I first wrote the song, it was just going to be a house record with David Morales. It turned into a ballad, and she decided to do both. So I've got a little quote that sort of does relate back to the book and something that she doesn't mention in the book. It was 97 and I was leaving my marriage to Tommy. which encompassed my life. I was writing the song Butterfly, wishing that that's what he would say to me. So we knew that.
Yeah.
There's a part that goes, I have learned that beauty has to flourish in the light. Wild horses run unbridled or their spirit dies. You have given me the courage to be all that I can. And I truly feel, sings, and I truly feel your heart will lead you back to me when you're ready to land. So that's what she was sort of saying from Tommy's perspective, that if he let her go a little bit, she would come back. Now she says, at that point, I really believed that I was going back to the marriage. No. I didn't think I was going to leave forever. But then things happened to me during that time that caused me to not go back.
Vitamin D.
Right. Had it been, go be yourself, you've been with me since you were a kid, let's separate for a while, I probably would have.
Yeah.
So it seems, I'm
too controlling.
He was too controlling, and we had a knife. It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that was just interesting. Of like, there was a moment where she's like, I really do genuinely just need a break from this, and then I'll be back. Don't worry.
But I mean, that when you're in those kind of controlling relationships, you don't know anything else.
Well, you're trying to bargain with yourself a little bit, aren't you?
Yeah, you're like, well, I'll go back and it'll all be fine, and I won't have wasted the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
And
now
then you go,
I will.
Oh no, I have to be out of there. I can't go back there.
Gots to go. I got that vitamin D.
D.
So the video. This is my little synopsis.
Mariah and a horse.
Yeah, literally. Shots of stairs and shit. Mariah's in bed. She hugs a cow or a horse. Okay, I think it's a horse because now there's a bigger horse running. Is it Argo from Xena? Mariah looks out a window. Now she's on the stairs. Chandelier, darling. The hair is a choice.
Hair is very much a choice.
Tree Raya. More horses. Literally not one butterfly yet. Hug the tree girl. Mariah runs and cries. Then she frees the horse who meets his other horse pals. Then Mariah rides him even though he just ran away. Maybe that's where she was running. Mariah kneels in a field. Mariah feeds the horse who is hungry. Really? Really not one butterfly? This song should have been called Horse. Mariah stays in the field and is said to be there to this very day.
Oh. She does mention horses in this song.
I did go back and realize she does, but I just thought it was so funny. Imagine if it was called a horse.
Or their spirit stuff.
Yeah. Still. So that's the video. So my first note for this was the enunciation of Mimi.
The enunciation of Mimi.
So I had heard this song before, but I don't think I'd actually really sat down and listened to it. So on my first recent listen, I honestly struggled a little bit with the breathy vocal on the verses.
Yeah.
I preferred when she gets to the belt in the bridge. On my second listen, I did feel that the song held together a bit better as a whole. Like I kind of started getting it a little bit more. I wrote this down because it relates to this song, but also other songs on the album, which is, I think something Mariah does well is surprise you with her melodies.
Yes.
But it's something that makes initial listens a little awkward because you don't know where she's going with it. It's not predictable, which is a great thing, but sort of confusing for first listens because the mind is searching for patterns to grab onto.
Yes.
And when you don't have those, you can feel a little bit lost, or at least I do. And this sort of relates back. People might have noticed with my scoring, like there are songs that I go back to and change my score later because maybe I at first didn't quite get it or whatever it was. So Mariah herself has said that even sometimes she doesn't know when she's going into the vocal booth where she's going with it.
Yep.
So I think even for her, it's like, let's just see what happens. So it's that kind of unpredictability that we love, that it can make a first listen of a song. You kind of like, I don't know where to put this right now, because I think it's kind of human nature to be looking for patterns so that by the second or third, it's very much in pop music, you're looking to be able to sing along by chorus 3. Yeah. And sometimes Mariah changes it up so much that you don't quite, you're like, wait, where is he? And I think that was sort of the case here a little bit.
Yeah.
But once I've had a moment to let it settle in, I'm like, oh no, now I get it. I get the builds and the pauses and
see, I don't know. I think I trust her so much that I'm like, I don't know what you're doing here in the verse, but I bet you'll fucking nail the bridge.
Sure. Yeah. And look, you're right. It probably is a trust thing as well. Like I maybe am not as trusting
of people.
Her voice
is really raw in this song.
She did say she was a little unwell.
Like her vocals are really like, it's almost like her speaking voice. You know, she's got quite a husky speaking voice as opposed to a quite clear singing voice. Whereas this kind of feels like a bridge between the two. Like this is raspy. It's got a rawness to it, which suits the lyrics of the song. Like it suits that.
It suits
kind of
the haircut for sure.
Well, the haircut is, as you say, a choice. But it's kind of that, I'm at the end of my tether kind of thing. And even though lyrically the song is like, I have to let you go because, you're pulling at me and I need to let you go and hopefully you'll come back and everything will be fine. But the reality is that she's the one pulling away. Yeah. Like she's the object of the song, not the subject, if that makes sense. Like, so it's weird that she's written a song about herself told from, she's freeing
the horse, but she also is the horse.
She's the horse.
And there are actually no butterflies at all. No,
you should go spread your wings and prepare to fly because you popped out of your cocoon.
Exactly. Oh. Stop it. Why does it do it every time? Stop it. It's just the worst kind of ASMR. Okay. So,
sorry.
For my little score, I think had you have asked me to score it before I re-listened, it would probably be somewhere around the 3.5. Then on my re-listen, it was a 4, but on my re-listen, I've pushed it up to a 4.5.
Only 4.5 for Butterfly?
But that's high for me.
Oh,
I'm much tougher than you.
It's, when she hits the bridge and she rolls into that key change and she is like singing up there, like for the whole rest of the song, for You'll Never Be Mine. Like from there, it's like, like I don't breathe for the whole rest of the song. Yeah, I just stop breathing. Every time I listen to it, I'm like, do, 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 do. I'm like, oh yeah, I like Butterfly. Like it's one of those things I forget. I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, this is kind of sweet. I was like, is this a ballad? Like, it doesn't feel like a normal Mariah ballad. Like, it's ballady. It's it's plaintive and it's, vocals sound really raw. And then it just starts soaring and it stays up there for the whole rest of the song. And I literally hold my breath until the end.
Really? I'm imagining now, like, if you ever have, like, a condition and you end up in hospital and you stop breathing, everyone's like, oh, we've got to do CPR. I'm like, oh, hang on. Is Butterfly playing somewhere? Give it 30 seconds and then if still nothing, we can CPR.
Well, he'll breathe out once she's got through the key change.
So I take it you've got a Butterfly infinity?
Yeah. Cocoon affinity. It's
so great. All right, before we get too into that, on to track 3. So track 3, My All, written by Mariah Carey and Snuffleupagus. It was a number 1 in the US and number 39 in Australia. What were we thinking? And it is also the favourite song of a certain regular named person.
Oh, really?
When asked
regular
about
Aniston. No. Regular Ghana.
No, close. They've shared someone.
They've shared some vitamins.
yeah. They went down to Chemist Warehouse and split the bill. But yes, on a little Watch What Happens Live, when asked about a feud, possibly a feud. We don't know anything about that.
No. I don't know.
They said, I am a fan of Mariah, and in fact, My All is one of my favourite songs. And so I don't think it was one of my favourite Mariah songs. I think it was one of my favourite songs, full stop. So
of all time.
There you go. Anyway, on to the video quickly.
It is a great song.
We've got Mariah, Water, Lighthouse, Overturned Boat, Abercrombie Model with Hair, Mariah in a Giant Shell, definitely no green screen, Mariah Thigh-Raya. Mariah's wearing a sheet. Abercrombie gives her kisses. Tall stick flowers.
Tall stick flowers.
So apparently during the shoot of this, Mariah's nose kept bleeding.
Oh.
So she'd had a reaction to something, so they had to get a doctor to stop the bleeding. It was a whole lime and a coconut situation. And it may have also been her final collaboration with Snuffleupagus. Not 100%, but she has said this was written towards the end of the Butterfly writing sessions. Yeah. So not 100%. There may have been something after, but it seems that this might have been the final one. And honestly, what a song to end on.
Yeah. Well, I feel like My All and Butterfly are, kind of the best they're ever going to do. Like, because they've done, it's kind of like they've been reaching for something and they've gotten to this point and, she is growing and changing and he is not. Like, I feel like he's not kind of progressing in his...
Plod,
plunky, plunky, plunky. Like, the fact that she's even gone, this needs a guitar. So we don't need any plinky plonko.
I was in Puerto Rico, darling.
I need a flamenco
Latin
guitar.
Influences.
Yeah, so the reason this was such a huge thing in the States is that the single came out and it was fine. It did okay. And then they released another, and it came with some remixes. So there was the single and then the EP of remixes. And then they released another remix, which was My All / Stay a While.
Yes.
And then that kind of tipped it over the edge like that. So it was getting airplay almost constantly for months and months and months, and it just kind of pushed it over the edge, and then people started buying it and it went to number one like crazy. So it kind of was not a, it was a grower, not a show. But it is one of those songs that the more you hear it, you go, because again, like with Butterfly doesn't sound like it's going to be a ballad until she, starts belting it. And the same with this one. It's like it starts off as quite a plaintive kind of, I'm really missing you. I kind of, we had one night, now it's gone. And yeah, when she starts really singing it, you kind of go, oh,
hang on.
Oh, here we are.
So there is a video for the Stay a While remix.
Yes.
Which has Mariah in a college dorm, I've decided. That's where that is? There's video games. Mariah is hungover on the floor. There's a lemon dress. There's a Windows Movie Maker filter. Mariah on a red couch. And there's a lamb. Birth of Lamley, question mark?
Birth of Lamley.
I was wondering, is this the birth of the Lamley?
Possibly. Or the Lamley had birthed the lamb in the video. It's like, I got to put a lamb in for the Lamley.
Go on. Yeah, possibly. So I will say for me, this is one of those songs where the original is the one. Yes. There's just something about it. But I think it's probably only been in the last 12 months that I've paid any attention to this song. I don't know why.
My favourite version of this is the one she performed on the Divas concert, which is I'm going to sing the ballad and then the Price Sisters are going to kick in and we're going to fucking take this to the club halfway. It's like she sings the whole song and then you just get, and one more night, just one more night. And it's like, whoa, it's a disco. And then she sings a remix for another 5 minutes. So it becomes a 10-minute song.
Mate. I'm very excited to get to Divas.
All the rest of the Divas are standing around going, is she still singing?
I feel like Gloria would be busting a move. So one thing, so much is said about the maturity of this album. And I think this is kind of where they nail it on the head in terms of elevating what she's done before. Similar to what you said basically about this kind of being the peak of what she could do with stuff.
I think the peak of what she could do with Walter Afanasieff. I think she goes on to write even better stuff later on, to be honest. But I think that their relationship, it's like the relationship between Darren Hayes and Daniel Jones. There was a magic that happened between them. There was this alchemy. Neither of them have done anything that amazing separately. And Afanasieff certainly has not gone on to... I mean,
I haven't looked at what else he's done, to be honest.
he's done a lot of like producing. He's done a lot of writing with other people, but just, his solo stuff is just kind of like it's the same thing all the time.
Sure.
Whereas Mariah's constantly inventing and changing. And, she has a couple of cracks at songs with someone who never writes with other people later on, which we'll get into.
Oh, interesting.
At the time, I remember thinking, I'm really sad that their partnership is dissolved, because I was like, I loved all of their songs, and I wanted them to keep writing together, because I thought you just add water and it'll be amazing. Like they were cordial.
They're tang.
They're tang. But now I kind of realized that she was growing and he was trying to do the same thing all the time.
Sure,
and I think this was, as amazing as this is, I think if they did do another album together, it would have been less.
Yeah. Like you said, this kind of it brings everything together of what they were great at.
Yep.
But it brings in Mariah's sort of fresh take on melodies and delivery and all of that sort of stuff. So it does feel a bit more fresh and surprising.
And, like she says in the book, her insistence on this being much more stripped back.
Yeah. No plonking.
No, stop plonking. Stop with the plinky plonk, Walter. Walter, who watched me get cut with a knife. If that was him.
Yeah, we don't want to assume anything.
We're just guessing.
Probably was. I think it might have been. It seems pretty clear. So for me, I mean, there was no doubt this is an infinity, darling.
Oh yeah, this
Giving
is
my
Allfinity.
all.
My Allfinity.
My Infinity.
And now that we know the origin of it, like it's even... For some reason that didn't penetrate Honey, Matron. But with My All, it really does give it a little extra boost.
Sure.
Even though she's, already belting the shit out of it by the time she gets to the end. But yeah, it just gives it a little added piquancy.
I'm very excited for someone regular to sing it at the next inauguration.
Oh my God.
All right, the next track is The Roof.
The Roof, Back in
Written
Time.
by Mariah Carey, Jean-Claude Olivier, Samuel Barnes, Corey Rooney, Albert Johnson, and K1 Muchita. That's a guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, of course, samples Shook Ones Part 2 by Mobb Deep, who get a little bit of a remix on later on. Mm-hmm. So in the video, Mariah sits in a limo, but she runs out of something, maybe a pizza shop, just saying. She gets ready in a bathroom, has Farrah Fawcett flicks and a lollipop, dances thrust. Mariah wraps her arms around not Derek Jeter, but meant to sort of be.
Yep.
And then I wrote, are they even on a roof? I'll find out later. They are. It's fine. Mariah said this was faithful to what actually happened. First, no butterflies. Now, no roof. It's raining. Maybe it is a roof. Oh, this is more fun with a rap. They appear to bleep out the words loud and ruler L. I don't know why they did that. On the YouTube video, they bleeped out loud in the rap and ruler L. I looked up the lyrics. I was like, what are they saying? Oh, they're just not saying anything bad. Okay. Yeah. Pistol, they also kind of cut out, which I kind of get. But the others, I don't know. Okay, maybe they are on a roof. Mariah gets all wet because it's raining like in real life. And then random empty chairs. We just get random close-ups of empty chairs. That's fine.
Empty chairs.
All right, so this song, I was nervous about this one because I know how much people love it, and it wasn't one that I'd gone too much. So this one I think I wrote a paragraph. So I sort of said like the songs like this are definitely my vibe. They're kind of haunting, but they've still got a driving beat. So it's not upbeat, but it's not a ballad. And they kind of have this feeling like they're going on even when they're finished. If that makes sense. It's kind of melancholy, but with a bit of an electronic beat happening. So that's very much my brand. The enunciation of Mimi does return, which kind of threw me for a minute, but on re-listen, I was able to kind of pick up what she was saying a little more. I did like that the video had a shorter version and a rap. I actually thought that gave the song extra shades and a little bit more variety, like if you weren't feeling like the full 5-minute version. Because, as I said, sometimes you want a whole moment, but other times you just want a splash, darling.
Well, see, because we're doing an album. For me, an album, like, the songs go as long as they go. on the album.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I will say, like, and I think it comes up somewhere else on a song that I wish was a little shorter. This is more of a thing of, like, I very much am like, whatever the artist wants, as in if they want it to be a long version and they've got their reasons for it, go for it.
Yeah.
So I'm actually more of an advocate for the full version. But once in a while, you're like, I wouldn't have minded the option of a radio edit.
A radio edit.
But, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I kind of liked the rap in this. I thought it fitted nicely.
Oh, I love this song. I love that she's, you know, sampling Mobb Deep, and it's a great use of a sample. Like, it's not like she's singing over the whole song kind of thing. It's just like that really nice kind of hook at the start, and you're like, oh, what's going on here? And hearing that she heard that in the limo on the way home from the roof, you're like, this is a moment.
And she's still in the limo during the song.
I know. But yeah, I love the kind of driving beat. I love the, like you said, the melancholy. I think it really does kind of conjure up that feeling, that kind of stolen moment with someone that is, you know, that's
like my brand right there. Like, I love that kind of sound.
And also, I feel like this is the start of her, like, she's already been writing quite dense lyrics, but this is the start of her, you know, that she would take to the nth degree on We Belong Together. But this is the start of her just really packing out a verse with almost difficult to sing lyrics, like, you know, like cadences chopping and changing, like syncopating with the actual music. And you're like, oh, this is actually really difficult to sing just lyrically, let alone the fact that she has gymnastic vocals.
Yes.
Like, she's now using her tongue gymnastically as well as her throat. Like, she's a very busy woman in this song.
That's just challenge. Tongue and throat, you say?
Tongue and throat. She's she's very busy in the mouth area. But I love it. Like,
they do say if you get a little horse, you can use a little honey to smooth things out. So.
Yeah, they call that the Dame Nellie Milber. It's a very old story. Don't worry about it. Okay. It goes like, the stories about that go back to the dawn of time.
Right.
But yeah, about needing a little honey. So yeah, I really love like, it sounds dirty. Like, it sounds like some dirty shit is happening in the rain.
I think that's the one thing with the video. I know it sounds silly, but I didn't immediately, like, I know the song is called The Roof, but I don't think it actually did the story justice visually on just that. Like, the rain bit is great, but the early bits, I was like, I think what I evoked in my head during the book was so clear because she's describing it so clearly that when the video didn't match, I was like, oh. But then the end was really good.
You know, the other thing is, like, the video for this song didn't come out for like 2 years. Like, it was a really long time.
Yeah.
Like, this was like,
she did say there was like a 7-month gap between two of the songs.
Yeah. Like, this was like just suddenly turned up one day as like, oh, I've released this one now. It's like, what? Yeah. What, The Roof of all things? Like, that was my cheeky little album track that I liked that no one else was really into. And now it's a single. So yeah, I don't really have, like, I'd listened to it a lot before there was a video. So I think it's one of those videos that I kind of disassociated from the song.
Yeah,
so I was like, no, I've already imagined what this was like. It wasn't that. You know, when you watch a film and you've like, I've read that book and that film is no good.
Yeah, sure.
Like, sometimes they do like Agatha Christie, like they go, oh, we've run out of Marple books. We'll adapt one of her other books and stick Marple in it.
Yeah,
and you go,
I know.
No.
It's also like, I really thought that the Da Vinci Code movies were going to be great, and then they were not even a little bit great.
No.
Not even a little
bit. Although, you know, those movies did make you realise that those books were written like Scooby-Doo episodes, just really long. It's like, I wonder who it is. It's the only other fucking person in the movie, mate. Let's take the mask off. It's old man Smedley from the amusement park. There was no one else in the movie. Of course it's Ian McKellen. I
was really surprised at how not good Tom Hanks was in it.
Oh yeah, he was
like,
phoning it in.
why are you not?
And then he
good?
phoned it in again when the sequel.
I know. Oh lordy.
Yeah.
All right. So for The Roof, so because this one is still kind of fresh, I was like, I'm not quite ready for the Infinity, but I gave it a 5 out of 5.
How?
I know it's all right. It can. I did say 5, but feels like it'll push to infinity.
Yeah. It's, I mean, you know, I lived with this a lot. Like I said, this was
Yeah.
my cheeky favorite on the album,
Yeah.
and then was released. It's like, what?
I dare.
Now there's a single and there's remixes. Let's go.
Are they good remixes?
The remixes are great.
Okay. I feel like
Because I think that was another reason that My All went a little bit crackers, was there was a remix for The Roof on it, like a dance mix of The Roof, like down the end of My All Stay a While.
so
It's like,
all the gays were like, oh my
okay.
god.
Okay, well, I didn't expect that, but here we are.
One of my favorite things ever was when certain singles would be released, like the second single from someone, and they'd
Yeah.
sometimes have the first single on there to sort of boost the sales of it. And maybe
Yeah.
you'd missed the first single. You hadn't gotten to the Cranbourne Shopping Centre that month. So I was like,
But yeah,
thank you.
I got the
thank
impression
you.
she did a whole bunch of remixes for everything before the album even came out. So it was like, oh yeah, I've got a remix of The Roof. We'll just stick that on there. Like,
Yeah, perfect.
Just, it was very strange. But yeah, the releasing of singles from this album was always really odd.
She
I
did
thought-
seem to have some issue, to take some issue with it.
Yeah,
I
I didn't think Butterfly
scenes.
should have been as prominently placed and a single. Like, it feels weird as the second song. Like, I love it. You know, it's one of my favorite songs on the album, but it feels like it's trying to do something that she's not written it to do. Like, it feels like, you know, like they're trying to market it as something that it's not. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
I
no,
actually
she's-
wouldn't have minded it as the last track, to be honest.
Yeah, it would have been
as a
amazing.
closer, yeah.
But yeah, I love The Roof so much. I think it's I'm giving it Roofinity. And like reading the book, like so many of the songs on this album now have an album I already loved. Like, and I already loved all these songs. And this is one of those rare times where I feel like trying to make singles with this album is a fool's errand, because they're all really quite integral to each other. Like, the album itself is amazing, but trying to pull things out of it is like trying to go, well, you'll like, if you liked that one, you'll like this one. It's like, no, I like all of them. Don't make me choose. Don't make me love one over the other. Don't try and tell other people there's a good thing on here. They're all good. Just release the album. Like, tell everyone the singles are the album.
We want
and
a
the album is the
video
singles.
video album.
Yeah, like Lemonade.
Exactly.
You know? Like, and I feel like that she was kind of edging towards that with how many remixes she did. Like,
Sure.
it was almost like, oh yeah, I'll just mix everything. I'll just make
Yeah.
everything single worthy, and then the whole album is one big single.
At the end of the podcast, baby. Almost there, almost home. You could probably say, but you won't because of copyright. That's a no.
We are only up to track 4.
Yes.
And as I predicted, we are probably going to do 3 episodes about this album. So next episode will be coming up at some point where we will be listening to more of Butterfly. Oh my God. I can't believe we've only managed to get through 4 tracks in a whole episode.
That's what I was just, if you saw my eyes go from you, it's because I was like, how many songs? Are we not even halfway? Okay.
I told you, there is a lot on this album. It is a big, packed album. All right, coming up, some of my favourite songs of all time, even though we've just had 4 of my favourite songs of all time.
There's
a big
also there's also a not favorite from me coming up. So
You have a
get
not
ready.
favourite? You are going to be dead to me. I can smell it from
That's
here.
fine.
All right.
I feel like people will predict this one.
Yeah. All right. Well, more of Butterfly in our next episode, and maybe even the episode after.
We'll see.
We'll see how much we get through. All right. Bye, Emily.
Bye.